Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from the Kata studio. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. How y'all's doing? Yeah, on the I clicked the wrong button, kind of screwed myself up there for a minute, but hey, we're good. So yeah. Mistakes happen sometimes, kind of early, but you know, hey, it happens. So I'm a little under the weather today. I got the beginnings of a cold. So I am going to be sucking on cough drops and, you know, probably drinking a lot. Got my water sitting right next to me to kind of help out with my throat a bit. I've been coughing quite a bit, you know, so it's frustrating. So I don't know how long this show is going to end up being. We don't really have a whole heck of a lot. Wait, okay. We got some stuff to talk about, but not a lot of topics. There we go. Maybe that's the best way to put that. Sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into this. So, of course, you can follow along with all the articles that I will be using in the show. Just head on over to thehohoshow.com. Just click on that newsfeed tab. And there you'll see my magazine on Flipboard. Now, the only thing I hate about Flipboard is you have to log in to actually, you know, create an account, log in order to use it. That's the only thing bad about it. You know, that's the only thing I hate about it. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But this first article that I'm going to talk about comes from Fox News. Headline, Native American leaders rebuke Biden administration over oil leasing ban. They say it undermines our sovereignty. You know, doesn't that undermine all of our sovereignty? I mean, truth be told, according to the Constitution, you know, the only land that the federal government is allowed, or at least given direct permission to own, is basically the Washington, D.C., which is, you know, measured out. And then land for, you know, military bases, forts, whatnot. And that's really about the extent of it. And I've always questioned, you know, with the land leasing and and stuff like that. You know, I mean, you have people that talk about, you know, oh, free market capitalism, this, that, and the other. It's like, dude, we don't have free market capitalism here in the United States. You know, it's like, I don't know what we have, but it's not that. When you have a government that repeatedly and continuously, you know, will, you know, pick winners and losers, you know, they will financially support and back, you know, one company by giving them huge discounts and investing a butt ton of money into them. When you have the government that will bail out companies because they deem them too big to fail, when you have banks closing down and the government allowing things to happen, you know, do you really have free market capitalism? No. If free market capitalism was actually king here in the United States, then would you have the federal government virtually controlling different sectors. The energy sector being one of them. Banning, drilling rights and land leases and this, that, and the other. And also with, of course, healthcare. I mean, that's an industry that I've flat said from the get-go. It's like we don't have free market capitalism, especially whenever we're talking about healthcare, because the government has their hands in it so much that it's not an aspect of if you want it, you can get it. The market will respond to the demands of the public. No, it's completely controlled by government. I just had a cough drop too. That's ridiculous. Let me take a drink. All right. So yeah, Fox News, Native American leaders rebuke Biden administration over oil leasing ban, says that it undermines our sovereignty. And there's so much out there that, yes, it definitely undermines our sovereignty. And since we are talking, undermining sovereignty, we're going to continue with the constitutional theme here on this one. This headline from Politico. And I read this, and I read a couple things, heard about it, a few days ago. But this one was like, holy crap. I'm not surprised. This is something that the left has been wanting to do for some time. Something that they talk about often enough. And that is the Second Amendment. Headline from Politico, Gavin Newsom wants 28th Amendment for guns in the U.S. Constitution. Again, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. That's why the pregnant pauses that are in there. I apologize. Let me get another cough drop. I got them stashed behind me. This way they're easy for me to get to. Oh boy, that's loud. Yeah. Cough drops. Okay. So Gavin Newsom wants the 28th Amendment for guns in the United States Constitution. Now, basically, what he's saying is, or at least what he is proposing, is a ban for, different things that they've been wanting to ban for a while. Stricter background checks, a minimum age to buy firearms, different things of that nature. And, one of the things in here is restricting, like assault rifles, and of which case it's like, okay, look, you got to be more specific. What do you call an assault rifle? And basically it's just a weapon that looks mean. That it looks like a quote unquote military grade rifle, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything whatsoever. Because the gun itself, with the exception of the barrel, it's the rifling of the barrel of the gun that you're shooting it out of, with the exception of that, everything else with a gun is cosmetic. It doesn't change the ballistics of the round that's fired. Period. End of story. With the exception of the rifling of the barrel, length of barrel will have some effects on it too. But with those minor exceptions, there's nothing that changes the ballistics of the bullet. That's it. So if you're firing a .223, it doesn't matter what the gun looks like. A .223 rifle, they're all going to shoot the same, regardless of whether one looks mean, military grade, or the other one looks like a typical hunting rifle. It doesn't change the ballistics of the bullet. It just doesn't. Anything else, they're lying to you. And there's a lot that they're lying about whenever, with things like this. But according to one of the things that I heard about this was that Gavin Newsom was proposing these things, restrictions on what you can own, age restrictions, whatnot, all while claiming that the Second Amendment will stay true, I guess you can say. It's like we can do the 28th Amendment and still, without infringing or without any limitations to the Second Amendment. That's basically what he said. And I'm like, wait a second. How can you do that? The age of majority, whenever you become an adult in this nation, is 18 years of age. You can join the military at 18 years of age. And you can do that. You can vote. You can do this, that, and the other. However, you can't own a gun. You can join the military. You can serve the country, but you can't own a gun. What the hell? I disagree with that completely whatsoever. Or completely, entirely. There you go. I disagree with a lot of the things that they're doing as far as age restriction goes. One of which being, smoking. Why did they raise that from 18 to 21? Made no sense to me, and truth be told, the drinking age being 21 versus 18, it should be 18. Why isn't it 18? Our founding fathers believed in something that was more or less an educate, not restrict, not limit freedom. It was educate people, teach them why they should do this and why they shouldn't do that. Dadgummit. That was a loud notification. Let me turn that sucker off. Holy crap. All right. And phone is now on silent. Oops. Didn't mean to hit the mic. So that's what our founding fathers believed in. They believed in education, not just overbearing rules. That's what they believed in. And if our education system wasn't anything more than an indoctrination system, then maybe we would have better results in our education system. Maybe we wouldn't have illiteracy rates and people not having anything, any knowledge of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, because, literacy rate is horrible. So Gavin Newsom says or claims that he can restrict gun rights without infringing, without violating the Second Amendment. Doesn't the Second Amendment say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? Yeah. Yeah. Another one by Peacock News. California Governor Gavin Newsom calls for a constitutional amendment to curb gun access. Raise the minimum age. Universal background checks. Impose waiting periods on buyers and ban the civilian purchase of assault weapons. Now, here's the thing, though, too. Okay. Mandate a universal background check. A lot of places are already doing that. You have here in the great state of Illinois, and I say that with all the sarcasm I can muster, you have to get an FOID card, firearm identification card, in order to buy not just guns, but ammunition. And with, I think maybe rifles, you can take home and I could be wrong on this. It's been a while since I purchased a gun. But you can't, a pistol, you can't go into a gun shop and buy a pistol and take it home the same day. There's a waiting period. And with some rifles, I think you can. I don't know. But there's already rules in place about that. There is waiting periods. And every single time, in order to get your FOID card, you got to go through a questionnaire. You got to fill out something to do a background check. Anytime you buy a gun, same stinking thing. You got to go through a background check. Even though you did want to get your FOID card to keep up on all of that stuff, you got to do it again whenever you purchase. The only thing you don't have to do an additional background check on is if you're buying ammunition, and that's it. And I know a while back ago, they were trying to put limitations on the age that your ammunition can be, because they were talking about putting serial numbers on there and whatnot, so keeping track of that kind of stuff. And also making it to where you can only have so many rounds of ammunition at one time. But I thought the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, should not be infringed. So they don't really mean that. Let's just put it that. Let's just be honest here, okay? They don't mean that. They want to restrict your right to defend yourself, your ability to keep and bear arms, because they don't like the implications. They don't like what that means. They don't like anything about it. Here they want to give, weapons and whatnot to Ukraine, that yes, the people being armed is the best defense that a nation can have, but yet they want to rob us of our Second Amendment right. Makes absolute perfect sense. No sarcasm in that whatsoever. None. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I return, we're going to talk a little bit about the fires up in Canada that they're screaming about climate change. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the, some of these boycotts that are going around with Bud Light, Target, those different things. And we're also, with the whole trans community, whatnot, and where or why, I guess I should say, we are drawing the line on something. So just a couple minutes, and I'll be right back.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct.
Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. All right, and we are back. So the first article that I'm wanting to hit or touch base on is from the Wall Street Journal. And I'm not clicking on this article because, well, it starts immediately by playing a video, in which case I don't want that. But the headline says, WSJ opinion, no, climate change alone doesn't cause forest fires. Holy crap, they're actually saying it. Isn't that awesome? And then follow that up by this article from Hot Air. Shocker, 96% of the U.S. climate data is corrupt. Who would have thought that one? Who would have thunk it? But back to this first article. This is or at least talking about the fires that were, the forest fires that are going on up in Canada right now, and how a few days ago, I think maybe back on Thursday or Wednesday or something, the air was like red and whatnot because of the smoke that was in, New York. And I know California also has issues with fires and whatnot too. And the biggest reason behind this, and of which case this is blaringly obvious, especially talking about up there in Canada, because what's funny is, Trudeau has basically says, no, you can't do controlled burns. Even though on their website, talking about, environmental crap, and they've been, there are people that have studied this immensely. And the evidence is clear. The evidence is obvious. It's like, you got to do controlled burns in the forest. You do that to help with the ecosystem, to help with animals, to help with the overall, just to help with the environment, the trees, everything, And one of the things you have if you don't do controlled burns is what's going on right now in Canada and what has happened numerous times in California. But one of the things that they talk about up in Canada and is on the Canadians' own website is that, this actually helps. This is something that isn't just beneficial to the forest. It is necessary. Says it right on their website, even though they refuse to actually do it. And then they want to claim that, this is climate change's fault for these out of control wildfires. No, it isn't. It's because you people don't actually look at science. They only want to talk about science. They only want to talk about science when it is for their agenda. That's the only time they want to talk about science. That's it. Any other time, they don't want to talk about science. They don't want to talk about science in the least. Speaking about science, this headline from Daily Wire. Rogan blasts Target, Bud Light, for shoving trans agenda down everybody's throat. Enough. This is not normal. They want to tout and they want to claim and they want to scream that this is what democracy looks like. But what we truly have here is you have roughly 1%, maybe 4% at most of the population that is dictating what everybody else is going to do, is going to say, and how they're going to think when it comes to the trans agenda, the LGBT, the rainbow community, as I refer to them. This is not democracy. It's not democracy in the least. Democracy is, the rule of many over the few, not the rule of the few over many. That's not democracy. This headline from, I don't even know. I'm not doing that. Where is this article from? Religion News Society, I guess. Anyway, the poll says most religious Americans believe that there are only two genders. And why they got to throw the religious aspect into this, I have no idea. Because according to science, according to biology, according to legality, there's only two genders. That's it, period. And back to what Joe Rogan was talking about. Most people don't care. Most people don't care. And maybe they're using bad language here whenever they're saying, to stop shoving it down everybody's throat. Maybe that's not the best wording to have on that. Maybe not. But stop trying to force your views on everybody. I mean, like I said, and accurately so. This whole entire thing is not about even speech. It's not about addressing somebody. It's about thought police. I don't use somebody's preferred pronouns when I'm talking to them personally. Maybe when I'm talking about them, but that's beside the point. Why do I have to use a preferred pronoun talking to somebody? It's not disrespectful that I don't say him, hers, or whatever the hell it is. Because I'm not going to use that kind of language in front of them or, to them anyway. This is a thought thing, a thought police. This is you can't talk about me outside of how I want to be talked about using my preferred pronouns, whatever. We're sick and tired of having it forced upon us. And of which case, again, and I think the issue goes even broader and wider than that, because it's an aspect of, we didn't care until you started forcing it upon our kids. Bringing minors into it. Over-sexualizing the whole thing. And the thing is, and this is one of the aspects, or this is the truth behind it. You're not going to hear this from mainstream media. You're not going to hear this from the news. You're not going to hear this from CBS, from NBC, from CNN. You're not going to hear this from any of these places. They are not of the majority. They are of the minority. Most people believe this is wrong. Enough is enough. Can we get back to normal? I guess you can say. Can we just? They don't want people to understand, to know. They want everybody to believe that they're the minority. That this is right, whatever they want to say, instead of honoring science, talking about science, acknowledging science. I mean, science is clear, isn't it? It's either an XX or an XY chromosome. It's not like there's an XZ or an FG. Those don't exist. It's not out there. It's not an option. Whenever you dig up somebody's bones, I don't care how old these bones are, you look at the bones and you say, oh, it's a male or it's a female based off of the bone structure. You're not going to look at a bone or bones that is obviously female and go, well, I have no idea what this was. This person can't identify their gender. No, they say male or female. How ridiculous is that to even claim that there's something outside that? Oh, these are definitely human remains, but it says right there on the bone itself that I am a bear, so obviously this must be a bear, or this is a cat. Obviously must be a cat. It's stupid. It's absolutely ridiculous. Moving on. Since we're talking about the rainbow community, not like one has anything to do with the other, but this article from Jezebel, can't say as if I've ever heard of them before, Supreme Court shocks everyone with this 5-4 ruling in favor of voting rights. Now, here's the thing. This is not about voting rights, guys. This ain't about voting rights at all. I don't know what their agenda is behind this. I have no idea at all. But another article that goes hand in hand with this one is this one from the Washington Examiner. Supreme Court endorses race-based districting. Now, here's the thing. Oh, wait, this also from MSNBC. Alabama couldn't box out black voters thanks to a Supreme Court decision. Here's the thing. This is what Alabama just got done doing their, this is what this case is referring to. Now look, voting districts is supposed to be colorblind. It's supposed to be based off of where you live. It's not supposed to be based off of your religion, your color, your socioeconomic status. It ain't supposed to be based off of how much money you make, what color you are, or your religion at all. These are not supposed to be the things that dictate your voting district. So basically, if you have, a neighborhood of, in this area, and because everybody in that area, for the most part, is going to have very similar beliefs on what is good and best for that district, that they want good roads, they want good schools, they want to be protected, they want to be able to go outside, their children to go outside and play. They want to be able to go outside and play. They have the same type of things basically that they're wanting. They're living in the same area that, demographically speaking, or geographically speaking, that's the way it's done. That's the way it's supposed to be done. But they're claiming that doing that, having no race consideration whatsoever, was racial gerrymandering. That's what they're claiming. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. By doing this, basically is what they're doing. Now, there's implications behind this, implications in here that, maybe people aren't thinking about with this whole redistricting thing. But what they're going to end up doing is basically putting everybody together or at least dividing voting districts up by race, so that this way, representation in, just their representation is based off of race. Now, here's the thing. The Supreme Court just made this ruling. How long until other states pick up on this and do it too? How long until other races, other minority groups say the same thing? How long until Mexicans want their own representative? Asians want their own representative? How long until they divide the map up like that for congressional districts? And why stop there, right? You know, why not draw the map and separate the map based off of religious views? Why not, right? Why not divide the map based off of gender? Oh, wait, you can't do that. You can't even define what a woman is, so they can't do that one. How long until it goes beyond? Not just affects everyone, but everyone everywhere. You know, they did it in Alabama. How long until they do it in other 50 states? Because here's the thing. Now there's precedent for it, right? You know, now there's precedent. All any state has to do is say, hey, look, we want to divide and separate the voting districts off of race, and we can do that because of this Supreme Court ruling. And since precedence has been established, what are they going to say about it? How are they going to stop it? How long until they roll this back? I don't know. I don't agree with it at all whatsoever. Not even a little bit. All right, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. When I return, we are going to be talking about Trump. We're going to be talking about Biden. We're going to be talking about Hillary Clinton. All of that right on the other side of this. Yeah. Have you ever sat down on your throne just to find out that you are dangerously low on shift tickets, making it to where you have to make a mad dash to the store just to pick yourself up some? If this has ever happened to you, pick up the #1 most rated toilet paper found in Uranus and use what the professionals use. Angel Soft. See, I'm just not a fan of some toilet paper. Some of them it's like putting a pillow between your nice rosy. Others, like John Wayne toilet paper, it's like using sandpaper. But do what the professionals use. Use the type of toilet paper that is the Goldilocks of brands, Angel Soft. Available wherever toilet paper is sold. All right, and we are back. All right, we are going to be talking about the Trump indictment. This headline from New Pittsburgh Courier: Trump charged under the Espionage Act, which covers a lot more crimes than just spying. Now, here's the thing, all right? The history behind the Espionage Act happened during World War I, and it was to get rid of people that didn't agree with the war, get rid of political opposition. That's what the whole point was. That's the history behind the Espionage Act. Let's not fool ourselves. Say what you want about it, but that's its history. And you have, a lot of people, me included, that are like two-tier justice system. That's what we're screaming about. That's what we're yelling about, because this is what ticks us off. This headline from National Review: the Joe, Donald, and Hillary Club. Yay! Now, granted, this is all about whataboutism. I understand that. I understand that whole, completely. But you can't claim that you don't have a two-tier justice system when you actually look at the facts behind all of this. They want to claim that, we don't have a two-tier justice system. In the meantime, Hillary Clinton, y'all know about the email scandal. Joe Biden, y'all know about that. Hunter Biden, y'all know about that. Trump was impeached for quid pro quo. Biden was applauded for quid pro quo. And Joe actually did it. As to where Trump was just accused of it. Yeah. Very clear distinctions on how they handle things based off of your political affiliation, based off of your last name. Very clear distinctions. And yet they say that, there's no two-tier justice system. No. It's the same for everybody, no matter what. But it's very clear that that's not what the evidence actually shows. This headline from Fox News: Joe Biden allegedly paid $5 million by Burisma executive as part of a bribery scheme, according to an FBI document. Isn't it strange how this headline becomes public, gets released at the same time Trump is indicted? Now, for those of you that don't remember the history lesson here, I talked about Joe Biden's quid pro quo, where Joe Biden bragged on national TV that he went to Ukraine and he said, hey, I have this money that you guys are getting. But here's the thing. If you don't fire this prosecutor who's investigating Burisma, then you ain't getting this money. You have 6 hours to make up your mind, because after 6 hours, I'm getting on a plane and I'm going home. Don't test me on this. I have the backing of the president, which was Obama at the time. So you fire him or you don't get this money. That is quid pro quo. And then he brags how the son of a bitch did it. And then Joe Biden allegedly was paid $5 million by Burisma after that happened. Huh. Isn't that interesting? What's one of the things that you can be impeached over? Let's see. High crimes and misdemeanor. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Bribery. Specifically, bribery is mentioned in that for reasons that you can be impeached over. And here Joe Biden, outside of this claim that he got money for Burisma, he bragged about doing the very thing that President Trump was accused of, and yet nothing happens to Biden, but yet they impeach Trump over this, and yet they say that no, there's not a two-tier justice system. Now, this ground, I believe is what it's called. I started using this a few weeks ago. And I was hopeful about this in the beginning. I really was. I was quite hopeful about these guys. Because they throw in here, analytics, and they talk about, different topics and all the sources involved in it. Like for instance, with this article or headline, whatever, this topic, it's how Trump's classified records case differs from Clinton's email mishandling. And it shows 27 total sources, 5 of them leaning left, 4 of them leaning right, and 16 of them leaning center. And then I clicked on this first headline here from Fox Carolina. Trump ally cite Clinton email probe to attack classified records case. And it's classified as center. I clicked on it, because that's what I do. Fox Carolina, you got the information right here. And I read into this, and it was, okay, this is what Trump was accused of doing. This is what separates the Clinton and Trump cases. And, one of the things they talk about in here is intent. And this is where I lost my proverbial shit. Here they're wanting to say that this is a center article based solely on fact, and of which case there's clear things that they left out of this. They want to talk about intent, that, Hillary Clinton had no intent of doing this, but here's the thing that they refuse to mention, report on, and talk about is that Hillary Clinton destroyed evidence. BleachBit to delete server information, destroying SIM cards, destroying phones, destroying hard drives, destroying all kinds of crap. They don't even know, and what they do know is that she absolutely mishandled classified information, and the dirty little secret is, like I've talked about 100 freaking times, the dirty little secret is everybody, especially the top people, every one of them in the Obama administration is guilty of mishandling classified information. How can you make such a claim? Well, it's really freaking easy. That's how. Because she was using a personal email address. She was using something at Clinton.com. It wasn't Hillary at whatever.gov, a secured server. She was using at Clinton.com. Private server. So everybody who sent her emails with classified information on them, every single person, which I would dare to say that that's the, every high-ranking individual including Biden, including Obama, including who knows how many other people that were guilty of violating this. I mean, it's pretty simple, And you don't destroy evidence if you don't think that you're guilty of something. How can you say that, she didn't have the intent of doing this? And here's the thing, too. Intent has no bearing on the legitimacy of the violation of her crime. Obstruction is based off of intent. The mishandling of classified information is not based off of intent. Period. End of story. End of discussion. You don't like it, freaking tough. I don't care. It is what it is. Hillary Clinton, regardless of whether she intended to or not, violated the handling of classified documents. And everybody who sent her emails to Clinton.com was guilty of the same freaking thing. And absolutely nothing was done to Hillary Clinton. And yet they want to claim that there's not a two-tier justice system. Oh, but what about Biden? What about Biden? What's different about Donald Trump's handling of classified information and Biden's handling of classified information? Well, here's the thing. There's a huge difference here, and I don't understand why people don't see this. Donald Trump was president. He is the executive branch. He has the authority to declassify anything he so chooses. Now, you may want to say that, oh, well, he should follow through or do certain things as far as procedure on doing this. Well, hey, look. None of those has been laid out, questioned, challenged, anything. There is no SOP, standard operating procedure, for the president to declassify documents. It doesn't exist. It's never been challenged before. So considering it's never been challenged before, you can't just flat out go straight to let's kill the canary instead of let's establish some type of procedure on how we should do this. They haven't done that, so they can't just get him for doing that. All he's got to do is claim, I declassified them. That you can't say that he didn't. You can't make that claim. There's no standard operating procedure for the president to declassify information. That's all there is to it. You can't argue it. Like it or not, you can't. You can't. And you have the, what's one of the things they talk about in here? It's, it happened with Clinton. It's the, like the executive exemption thing, or the executive whatever thing that, the president, Bill Clinton, had. And it's like, okay, so what separates Bill Clinton from President Trump? Well, I mean, it's okay for President Clinton to say that, oh, I'm going to keep these, I can have these, yada, yada, blah, blah. But yet it's not okay for Donald Trump to say the same thing. What separates the two? Oh, yeah, that's right. One's a Democrat and the other is a Republican. That's what separates the two. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a double standard here. I seen this article from the Daily Wire. I heard about this thing. Lindsey Graham got a little upset whenever he was on talking to Papa, whatever that guy's name is. What's his name? Stephanopoulos, Papadopoulos. I don't remember the guy's name. Anyway, this headline from Daily Wire: nothing happened to Hillary. Lindsey Graham blasts political double standard in justice system. I haven't actually listened to this one, but we are joined now by Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who's endorsed Donald Trump for president in 2024. Senator Graham, thank you for joining us this morning. Donald Trump has said repeatedly that he did nothing wrong. Do you believe that?
Well, here's what I believe. We live in an America where if you're the Democratic candidate for president, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, you can set up a private server in your basement to conduct government business. And when an investigation is had about your activity, no, let me finish.
But you didn't answer the question.
That was ridiculous. Well, yeah, I'm trying to answer the question from a Republican point of view. That may not be acceptable on this show.
He's obviously ticked off about this whole line of questioning. You know what? I'm the same way. And I've talked about this before in the past. that I'm sick and tired of hearing about everything that Donald Trump has done wrong. I'm sick and tired of hearing about everything that any Republican has done wrong. And I'm sick and tired of the Democrats getting away with every single thing that they do. They get caught doing the whole 9 yards. Democrats can do no wrong, and Republicans can do no right. I'm sick and tired of the double standard. I don't care. Here's the thing. Until you actually show that there isn't a double standard, and you don't start by prosecuting Donald Trump, you start by prosecuting, going back in time a little bit by hopping into your DeLorean, 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. You prosecute Clinton. She's guilty. The evidence showed that she did what she was accused of. And for some reason, he was like, no, nobody would prosecute Clinton for what she did. You don't make an example out of somebody that you hate anyway. If there isn't a double standard, you're going to go after Democrats instead of going after your political adversaries. This headline from the Daily Caller. What are you talking about? Stephanopoulos, that's the guy's name. Stephanopoulos melts down after former Trump attorney points out Biden had classified documents. Now, I did listen to this one, and this one was absolutely hilarious because he's, it's almost like he's shocked that he's bringing this up. Like Stephanopoulos has no idea about any of this, and it's like, look, you people freaking know. You just ignore it. You don't want to acknowledge that your guy, you're wanting to, treat him as though he's the Messiah. And it's like, anyway, let's take a listen to this.
Of weaponizing something that by statute is not a criminal offense.
I think there are countless examples of people who have been charged for similar crimes, but both sides should wait and see what is actually in the indictment. Meantime, what was President Trump's reaction last night?
Yeah, President Trump, this won't be a newsflash. He's a pretty resilient guy. He's a pretty tough-hided person, so he's not, crumbling in fear or anything remotely like that. He's upset by the notion of this indictment. It's a different conversation when you have a client who's committed a crime and knows that they've done something and finally gotten caught. That's a pretty easy conversation, or a relatively easy conversation as an attorney. When you're actually innocent of the charges and know that this is weaponized and persecutorial, it's a different conversation. But what's interesting to me, just kind of stepping out of my role of the attorney and just talking about it kind of person to person, when I have this conversation with him, he very quickly pivots to concern about the country. It's not a real selfish analysis. This is a bad moment for our history. This is our country turning the corner. And as somebody that's been around criminal justice for over 30 years, I agree with him. It's a Rubicon we shouldn't be crossing.
But don't you believe in the principle that no person is above the law? If the president committed the same crime that someone else did, shouldn't he be charged?
No person is below the law. That's really the issue here. I mean, you've got these investigations in Delaware that are 1,000 times more serious by a sitting president who has authorized his DOJ to try to sink the candidacy of his prime opposition, while that guy has unsecured documents that he stole out of a skiff dozens of years ago. So, look, we're not talking about some sort of favoritism.
What are you talking about? That is a ridiculous statement.
There's this issue. Nice try. There's an issue that anyone that reads any newspapers would agree is a parallel track, which is the Delaware document scandal of Joe Biden, where there's a special counsel, Rob Hur, that's investigating it. You know that there were documents that were sensitive, that were marked classified, found in a garage near a Corvette that made their way through Chinatown, through the Penn Biden Center. There's 1,850 boxes that have never been fully looked at University of Delaware. You have the ultimate unclean hands of a current sitting president who had no declassification, had none of the protections of President Trump, and who literally had to have stolen stuff from a skiff. Even Dick Durbin has commented about how this was an outrageous possession of classified material by Vice President at that point, Joe Biden. So that's what we're talking about. You can scoff and act like there's nothing to it, but the whole country knows the basic notion of unequal treatment and fairness, and that's what's at issue with this prosecution.
I think that is certainly what is at issue. We will see how it plays out, because I don't think you have the evidence to back up any of the charges you just made. Mr. Trusty, thank you very much.
I love his facial expression at the end. He's like, just, yeah, go ahead. Stephanopoulos had the audacity to claim ignorance on this, completely claim ignorance. What Biden did, what he was caught doing, and let's not ignore this, okay? They're trying to claim that the thing that separates Biden from Trump is cooperation. He handed him over. He handed over things after his attorneys went through them already, attorneys whom had no security clearance whatsoever. And then, oh, gee, we happened to find some things. And then they went through it, found in 4 separate locations, claiming that, oh, well, only got moved once, whenever, factually speaking, we know that some of these things were moved multiple times, even 2 and 3 times, not just once. Especially whenever we're talking about the, what was in the Penn station. And an aspect as well that as vice president, he had no declassification authority whatsoever. Second in command does not mean second in power. In fact, the president is more a congressman than he is the vice president is more in the legislative branch than he is in the executive branch. The president is in the executive branch. And one thing that Obama never has asserted is that he declassified any of these documents that were found in current President Biden's, possession. He hasn't asserted any of that. And of which case, if he had said that, end of discussion. Okay. President Obama, for one reason or another, allowed him to take these classified documents, declassified them so he could, and there you go. Okay, fine. End of story. End of discussion. That's it. Argument done. You can't go any further than that. He's not said that. He's not said that at all. In fact, he's flat out said that no, he didn't declassify any of it. And then one of the things that he was talking about as well was about the things that Biden had that date back to when he was senator. Classified documents that were stolen, that he removed without authorization from a skiff or some other secured location that he had in his possession. So what's going to happen to Biden? Why haven't we heard anything about the special prosecution that is looking into this? Why? And yet they want to claim that, oh, there is not a two-tier justice system. That the law applies equally to everybody. regardless of political affiliation, regardless of your last name, regardless of anything. I ask you, do you truly believe that? Do you? I mean, we live, I mean, God, I never thought I would see this. Joe Biden authorized this to happen. Targeting his number one political rival. I thought we lived in America, where this thing isn't supposed to happen. We're not supposed to have political prisoners, political refugees. America is not supposed to be some banana republic, but yet that's how it seems like things are going out, playing on, right? I mean, isn't that what's happening? Political prisoners from January 6th? A sitting president going after his number one rival to try to take him out before the election. And yet, there's not a two-tier justice system. Okay. Yeah. Do you believe it? I mean, the evidence seems pretty clear to me that, yeah, there's a two-tier. I don't care what Trump did. I don't care if he did do it. I don't care if he didn't do it. You want to know why I don't care? They ain't going after Biden. They ain't going after Clinton. And they are undoubtedly guilty. Undeniably guilty. The evidence has been released. No, there hasn't been a trial, so I guess maybe I got to put allegedly in there. Guilty. And yet, while claiming there's not a two-tier justice system, who do they go after? Trump. Somebody whom they have been talking about impeachment since before he was even the Republican nominee. That's how long, or that's how far these accusations go back. Guys, that's all I got for you today. Y'all have yourself a good one. See you next time. This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.